I'm going to go over my Lucio Fulci collection. Being a huge Italian film fan, of course, if you love Italian films, you're going to love Lucio Fulci, most of the time, I should say. I own more films of his on DVD than any other director. I own 23 on DVD. I don't own all of his films that have been released on DVD because he has directed some films in like the sex comedy genre that I could really care less about. Just not my style, and I'm not going to waste my time or money on those. But pretty much any other genre's game. I have talked about a few other DVDs of his in other genres. I'll mention those real quick, like the spaghetti westerns and Eurocrime stuff. But I'll start from the earliest to latest releases of his. And the first one I have is the 2-disc edition from Shriek Show, the Giallo, A Lizard in a Woman's Skin. Really good Giallo. Shriek Show re-released it in a single disc edition that's actually better, but I'm not a double dipper. I hate rebuying movies, so I'm just going to stick with the 2-disc edition. And then we have Don't Torture a Duckling, fantastic Giallo, one of the best that the genre has to offer, a must own. Blue Underground recently released this, so definitely, I would even go far to say that's the best film he's ever directed, to be honest. Then we have, actually next up would be 1975's Spaghetti Western, Horror of the Apocalypse. I talked about that in my Spaghetti Western video. Next would be the 1977's The Psychic, aka Seven Notes in Black, wonderful DVD from Severn. Great DVD, not as good as his earlier Giallos, but you know what, I still enjoyed it. And then comes what's known as the classic era of Fulci. This is when his films really became gory and his trademark style really showed through. Most of it during this classic era is of horror, of course. And the first that jump-started that, the classic era, is his release of Zombie. Many DVD releases of this. Shriek Show released a wonderful 2-disc edition under the original title, Zombie 2. Blue Underground also has an edition called Zombie, which has a little bit of a transfer, but to be honest, I'm really happy with the Anchor Bay release. So again, I don't like double dipping, so I'm just going to stick with that release. Then you follow that up actually with a non-horror film, but a Eurocrime film, Contraband. Talked about that in my Eurocrime video. Then after that, he returned back to horror with one of his best films, City of the Living Dead. Atmosphere so thick you can cut it with a knife. Love this movie. Really shocking violence in it. One of his best. The ending, of course, is head-scratching. Many stories of why the ending is like that. But and then after that comes The Black Cat. Very loosely based on the Edgar Allan Poe story. Not Fulci's best, but you know, I'm still very Fulci-esque. I still liked it. For some reason, my Anchor Bay version, the cover is cut short. Not sure why, but then again, I'm not going to rebuy it. Why bother? Then after that, The Beyond, probably what many of his fans consider his all-time best film, and my personal favorite from his classic era also. Second film about the opening gates to hell after City of the Living Dead. Amazing film. Very surrealistic, great, amazing, memorable sequences. Some people, horror fans, complain that this movie, oh, that makes no sense. But I'm like, if you think it makes no sense, then you don't know Italian films. A lot of times it's style over substance. This is, but you know what? It's wonderful for its kind. Grindhouse Racing did re-release this, so it's not as hard to find anymore. After that, we have The House by the Cemetery. Again, I really enjoyed this film. Some of his fans actually crap on this one, and I don't understand why. It's got all his trademark style. It's got really violent gore. The dubbing, especially for the kid, is annoying. But you know what? For a Fulci film, this is really good. So I say check it out. Then he followed up that with The New York Ripper. One of the Lucio Fulci's fans, one of their favorites. Very violent. Very written. His horror films before this had that supernatural element to them. Not this one. This is brutally gritty, realistic, and it's more disturbing because of that. So this is not for the squeamish, definitely, but it's a definite must-see if you can handle it. Then he returned after that to the more supernatural horror, but sadly he kind of lost his magic. This supernatural horror film isn't nearly as good as his other ones from the early 80s and late 70s. The opening to the film is wonderful. Just beautiful shooting in Egypt with a wonderful score, but after that the film really falls apart. But you know what? If you're a Fulci fan, you're going to find something to like in this one. After that, that's when the classic era of Fulci ends, and this is when his downfall begins. And he directed Conquest, a Conan the Barbarian ripoff, and you can definitely tell he's a director for hire in it, because it's a bad movie. You can tell he's just doing it for a job, and it's really violent, really silly. It's really bad, but you know what? If you like bad Italian films, you're gonna find enjoyment in this. Then after that, he returned with a giallo, actually, surprisingly, and with Murder Rock. Wonderful release from Shriek Show, probably their best release in my opinion when it comes to picture quality, and it's really cheesy 80s giallo. It's got really bad music in it, you know, that they dance to. It's kind of like a giallo version of Flashdance. It's also known as Dancing Death, and I really enjoyed this. I found it to be a very good cheesy 80s giallo. Then next up we have Enigma, out of print image release. Not a very good movie. It's just a ripoff of Carrie. It kind of feels like Dario Argento's Phenomena, but not good at all. Hardcore Fulci fans only with this one. And then of course the notorious Zombie 3. So bad that it's great. This movie, it's an insult to Fulci's Zombie 2, but it's a great guilty pleasure. Bruno Mattei directed some of it. Most Italian horror fans, they know everything about this movie, so I won't go into too much detail, but you gotta see this one. It's so bad, it's great. Then we have Touch of Death. For a later 80s era Fulci film, this isn't too bad, but it's still not very good. It's really cheap. It's got some shocking gore moments in it, but the ending makes no sense. It's not a very good movie, but for a later 80s one, it's definitely one of his better films. The DVD release from Shriek Show is actually a VHS sourced, but that's the only way to get it. There's the original elements have thought to have been lost, so the only way to get it is from VHS source. So you can't complain. At least it's on DVD, and we fans can see it. After this, Fulci, along with director Umberto Lenzi, they both directed 2 films for a cable show called House of Doom. But the 4 films that were made never got shown because they were deemed too violent for TV. And again, why would you hire the 2 directors known for making 2 the most violent movies in Italy to direct the TV-made movies? Beyond me. Umberto Lenzi's films haven't made it to DVD. I'd love to see them, but both Fulci ones did. First one he directed for House of Doom was The Sweet House of Horrors. Horrible, horrible, horrible movie. If not Fulci's worst, damn close. The Ghosts of Sodom, that might be his worst film, but this one, in my opinion, is. It's great to see it because it's so damn rare. Some of the dubbing of the kids is awful in it. One dub line that gets me laughing is the guy, they're going to tear down this haunted house, and the guy goes, "Get out of the way of the bulldozer," when it's obviously an excavator. Cracks me up. Horrible movie, but a must for fans. Second film he directed for House of Doom was The House of Clocks. A much, much, much better movie. Actually, for a later, even though it's made for TV and has TV movie limitations, for a later, this is one of his best films of his later in his career. Kind of Twilight Zone-esque. Some young thugs enter a house of a rich couple, and they collect clocks and they kill them, and then all their clocks twist back, and then zombies show up. It's quite a mind screw film. For a later 80s Fulci film, definitely one of his best. After that, we have Demonia. Horrible film. He tries to get back to a supernatural horror film, the elements that he made in the early 80s, late 70s, and it fails. It's kind of an unexploitation film. It's just awful. It's got bad cinematography. Just looks cheap. Bad movie. I'm still glad Shriek Show released it so us fans can see it. Then we got Grindhouse releasings of Cat in the Brain. Really popular with Fulci fans because it actually stars Lucio Fulci playing himself as a horror film director being haunted by the images in his films. To be honest, didn't like the movie. It's a cut and paste film. It takes scenes out of Touch of Death and The Ghost of Sodoms and some other films Fulci did some second unit directing on. Pastes all that stock footage around newly filmed footage of Fulci playing himself, and to me it's just a mess. It's kind of a pseudo-giallo. It's really fantastic DVD release. Grindhouse Producing really went all out for this. A wonderful DVD release of a really crappy film. And we have Voices from Beyond. Supernatural film, kind of has some giallo elements in it, about a guy who's killed and his ghost is trying to figure out which one of his family members killed him. Actually, didn't mind this one. It's out of print, image release, so good luck finding it if you can find it. I liked it. For a later Ari Fulci film, this is actually a pretty damn good one. I recommend this one. That's his second to last film. His last film he ever made is Door into Silence, or as the opening credits say, Door to Silence. Severin finally got the rights to release this on DVD. This really proves that Fulci went out with a whimper and not a bang. It's not that memorable. It's kind of a Twilight Zone-esque story again. There's no gore, but it still has this camera style, his other style. But it was produced by Film Mirage, that really cruddy Italian film. Joe D'Amato's production company. They produce like Troll 2 and crap like that, and they produce this, and it just looks cheap. And I didn't really like it, but it's really good to have it again. You know, Severin, you know, as fans, we always wanted, in America, always wanted to see his final film, so if Severin was nice enough to release it, just, again, it's not a very good movie, but, so there you go, there's my Lucio Fulci collection, one of my all-time favorite directors, even though his later 80s stuff and early 90s stuff was weak. There's some gems in it, but there you go. Okay.